Okay, we're back. Sorry for dividing this up. It's been quite a while since I've had to divide a video up into parts, but it's just the nature of live recordings. So it kind of worked well because part one, as I say, very effective, very good, and a great pace to it. It didn't feel like a full hour, and it's down to the fact that it's so goddamn enjoyable. But yeah, a very, very effective ending to that act. And the way they captured the chaos that was going on, the whole the choreography in this play is very, very well done. It's been very, very well thought out, and the music again really adds to it, and the lighting they use. Because of course it's all set on one stage, of course, but then there's different things happening simultaneously on different parts of the island, and of course you might have two actors on stage or two groups of actors on stage at the same time, with on stage in close proximity to each other, but in the story on opposite sides of the island. So the way they use the lighting is used to illustrate that, and then you might have one group of actors freeze while the action picks up over here, and then they'll freeze and the action would pick up back over there. So the way it all being worked out was very, very good. And the way when it's all breaking down at the end of Act 1, when you've got this whole ritualistic dance going on, the lighting and the way the lighting that they used was absolutely fantastic. Again, talking about the technical aspects of this, great, really great and effective lighting in this play. Now, that's Act 1. Act 2 is my personal favourite out of the two. As good as the first act was, Act 2 was where it really picked up for me, because obviously Act 2 takes place. They've been on the island for some time now, maybe a couple of weeks, a month has passed since the end of Act 1. The division between Jack and Ralph has got us, much deeper and more firmly established, and things have broken down even further. So you've got like Luke, and you've got Ralph and Piggy, and one or two others on one side, and then you've got Jack and all the rest on the other side of the division. And Jack and his group, they've basically turned their backs on Ralph and Piggy. They're at war essentially, and the culmination, because basically Piggy says to Ralph, you've got to do something about this. We're living in fear constantly of what those guys are going to do. So obviously there's Luke's character of Ralph and Piggy, the way they do things, they're very, very much trying to maintain law and order. So they hold multiple meetings throughout, and that's where the conch shell comes in. He who holds the conch has the right to speak. So that's what they're going to do. Let's try and put an end to all further conflict. Let's go there. Let's go to their den. I know it's not a good idea, but we have to try. Let's go there, see if we can talk things out. They go there. It doesn't go so well. Try as much as Ralph and Piggy might. It doesn't go so well. No. This is kind of like where the play peaks, because obviously Act 2 is well underway now, and this scene is, if it's kind of like the main action highlight, action piece of the play. It's kind of like Logan's Run, where Michael York and Richard Jordan have the fight, and then the movie continues, for maybe about 15 minutes after that. But obviously the main action set piece happens just a bit before the movie ends, So when you've had the main action set piece, there's a bit of the movie or play left. But yeah, this is where the main action set piece happens. Luke and Piggy and the other couple of boys in their group go to Jack and his group and they try to reason with him. It doesn't go so well. All hell breaks loose. Right. What is about... This was amazing. It was. Basically, Piggy and the other couple of boys who are with Ralph, they get ganged up on by the rest of Jack's group, chased off, leaving Luke and Freddie Watkins in the centre of the stage, and what then proceeds is absolutely amazing, right? This has been building up since the beginning. I'd heard rumours, because obviously a wonderful internet blog's been up and running for this UK tour. Freddie Watkins and Luke have been contributing to it, as well as some other members of the cast. It's been good to follow, it's been quite informative. It's nice. It was nice. And I'd heard mention that there's a fight between Luke's character and Freddie Watkins' character. I was intrigued, and this didn't disappoint. Because basically, Luke, in his den, he sees there's an old spear that's been left lying around, and says, "You know what? We're not going to fight, but in case anything happens, we better take this." It's a good thing they did. So yeah, Luke and Jack. So, I'm sorry. Luke's character Ralph and Freddie Watkins' character Jack are left alone in the centre of the stage. You've got, things happening in the background between Piggy and, the rest of Jack's gang. And then what proceeds to happen is quite a spectacular fight between Ralph and Jack. Honestly, the fight between Anakin and Obi-Wan in Revenge of the Sith has got nothing on this. I was expecting Duel of the Fates to start kicking in. Or at least Battle of the Heroes from Revenge of the Sith. Honestly, things break down in this sequence. It was absolutely amazing to watch. And there's just, at this instance in the play, there's just so much going on the stage at one time. There's so much, there's so many scenes like this where all the actors are on stage together, and it might be a really energetic set piece of choreography they're doing. The planning that's gone into this, there's so much happening, and everyone manages to hit the marks on, hit the amount of time and effort that's gone into staging this is nothing. It's very, very impressive, and everyone involved should really be proud of what they've accomplished here. In terms of the when they're doing these high energetic action pieces throughout the play, there's often parts of the play in which it suddenly goes into slow motion, and the way the actors hit the quick transition from it being in real time into slow motion and back into real time is very, very impressive. There's been some very, very well done direction here and choreography, and it's really one of the highlights But yeah, this fight sequence is amazing. And then obviously that scene again ultimately ends in tragedy. And basically from then on, obviously Jack and his gang are basically hunting Luke's character, because basically the fight, Jack effectively wins the fight. He jabs Luke in it. I'm sorry, this must be so confusing. I'm sorry that I keep using Luke Ward-Wilkinson and his character of Ralph. I'm sorry for using those names interchangeably. It's just me. Yeah, so Jack wins the fight basically by jabbing Ralph in the side with a spear. Ralph manages to get the hell out of there, and basically for the last 10 minutes of the play, Jack and his gang are hunting Ralph. And you know, there's a lot of times throughout this play where it gets intense. This is one of them. Now, it's brilliant. And then, obviously, that leads into the end of the play. And, of course, you'll have to go see it to find out what happens. But, yeah, that's how the play, you know, the last quarter of an hour of the play, Ralph is on his own. He's on his own. He's just trying to survive with all these group of guys after him. You know, he's outnumbered. He's unarmed. You know, and a lot of the guys are bigger and stronger than he is. And again, that's nothing. And that's no slight against Luke Ward-Wilkinson. That's not an insult. All right. Same when I said he'd be ideal for Connor McLeod in the way that he's quite unassuming. Of course, he handled himself really good in that fight, but he doesn't look like an arse kicker, you know. He's not supposed to. That's the point. You know. So he has that natural vulnerability about him, which you know, he really fits this role of Ralph, and I think he'd really fit the reason why I think he'd fit the role of Connor McLeod so well. And yeah, so it's really, really intense, you know. And the ending to this play, of course, don't want to give it away, you know. Even though it sounds like a redundant thing to say, given how long the story's been around, I don't want to ruin the ending. But what I will say is, the ending is pretty abrupt. It is an abrupt ending, it is. And the way it'll kind of it's one of those endings. It won't make you hate the play, but it'll leave you with one of those feelings, you know, where you think, well, that's just ridiculous, that, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, come on, you've got to be kidding me. They're serious, because it's got one of those, it's basically, the way it ends, there's a line that's said, and it goes back to that idea of, you know, you'll only know what the state wants you to know. You know, it's basically about covering things up and keeping up appearances, and you know, it's like, oh god, I'm going to talk about an Amazon cannibal movie. I'm very sorry about this. Cannibal Ferox, one of a complete atrocity of a film, but the way that works is the main character she goes on an expedition to the Amazon. She's at university. She's doing a dissertation or a thesis to prove, you know, arguing that cannibalism is fictitious. It's a falsehood. It's a falsity, whichever you prefer, whichever's grammatically correct. And she goes out to the Amazon with her group of with a team. She goes on an expedition. Her and a team get captured. All but her get killed and eaten. She barely escapes, right? And the end of the movie is her completing a dissertation, and she might actually have been doing a PhD, so getting a doctorate, because she'd been there And even though the truth was that cannibalism is a very real thing, oh no, she's sticking to her guns. Oh yeah, she doesn't change her this work she's doing for what, again, I'm not sure whether it's a dissertation, I'm not sure whether it's something for a doctorate, but no, she's not changing a thing. She blatantly lies. Again, keeping up appearances. It's not quite the same thing, but I feel it's kind of appropriate. Probably the only time I'm ever going to reference Cannibal Ferox. God damn it. Yeah. So she sticks to her guns. No cannibalism, completely fictitious, despite the fact that all her friends, a whole group of friends who went with her, died and were eaten. Oh no, that doesn't matter. As long as I save face, and that's basically what happens here. We don't want to. Anyone to ever find out that these group of young English boys did anything. They're not savages. They're English. They can't be. It's basically that. It's got, again, the ending, it leaves you feeling a bit raw in that respect, but that doesn't retrospectively make you hate the play. The play isn't bad because of that. It's just, that's the message the book has. It's one of the messages. How horrible, how ridiculous, and how just goddamn frustrating. The state is. We've always got to make things look good. It's not how it is. It's what it's not what it is. It's never what it is. It's what it can be made to look like. And it's a fine example that you see at the end of this play. But yeah, fantastic. This was very, very good. This play was very, very good. I'm glad I went to see it. Would I go see it again? Absolutely. I think this would be worth going to see more than once. Yeah, it's worth second viewing. It really is. Luke was just so impressive. This is what I want to come back to. The acting in this. Luke was brilliant. Honestly, he was just so good, and he goes through it so much in this. Honestly, he's really shows his acting ability. He really does a great job. I can't say enough good things. I've said it before. When I first saw him back in 2008 in Sharp's Peril, I knew he was something special, and this just, reaffirmed it for me. Now, Freddie Watkins. Yeah, Freddie Watkins, he's the truth in this. Now, obviously, he's the villain of the piece. And, it's one of those, this could be a case of, you play, or your show is only as good as, like the Bond films, they're only as, a lot of people say the Bond films are only as good as as the villains. The particular Bond movie is only as good as the villain that happens to be in that movie. You could say that here. Freddie Watkins does a fantastic job playing the villain. When you watch Act 2, where things are really breaking down. Watch Freddie Watkins, right? I mean, I had a hard time taking my eyes off Luke Ward-Wilkinson, I'm not going to lie. But when Freddie Watkins, when he's establishing his dominance as the alpha male of the other members of his group, watch him. And watching throughout, at the end as well, just keep an eye on the subtle things. Honestly, Freddie Watkins is in a completely different show. Honestly, he's... when you talk about memorable villains, he could be up there for this. He's very, very good. Yeah. He's having so much fun as well. You can tell he's having a whale of a time, but he's not hamming it up. Don't make that mistake. He's just having so much fun, and he's so much fun to watch, but terrifying at the same time. You know, when he's screaming at the top of his lungs, "I'm coming to get you, Ralph!" Yeah, yeah, I believe he is. And yeah, do I believe he could kill him? Yeah. Like you say, when I made that comparison to the Anakin and Obi-Wan fight, yeah, Jack, Freddie Watkins, he's very much Anakin in the fight. And yeah, Luke is very much Ewan McGregor. He's Obi-Wan. Because it's the same, you know, I think the way, when you watch him, I think the idea is, the character of Jack, he's supposed to be the better fighter of the two, you know, he's supposed to be because again, I think it's the fact that he's the more aggressive fighter, you know. So with that, you know, he does, you know, he's not going to think twice about killing Ralph if he has to, you know. It's that thing. And when you watch Revenge of the Sith, Anakin, I think they were always hinting at that, weren't they? That Anakin, yeah, he's a better fighter than Obi-Wan, but he's a more aggressive fighter, so he has that advantage. Very much the same thing here. But yeah, Freddie Watkins is a fantastic villain. He really, really is. He's terrifying. But yeah, he's in a completely different show. Anthony Roberts as Pit again. He's just so good. He's very, very good. You know, he's very, very, very good. He's very memorable. Yeah, you know, he's got that. You know, he creates that sympathy for the character. Well, you know, you do feel for him. But yeah, honestly, this was good. This was good, and that I said. Part 2, Act 2 rather, is my favourite act of the two. And I'll finish with this, right, because when I was watching this whole play, and I was, obviously my eyes were just, when I was watching Luke, I was getting Mel Gibson vibes off him left, right and centre, you know. The way, he has a very... He's got a look of Mel Gibson. He really does look like him in a lot of ways, you know. I think, you know, I think certainly, you know, he's got the same colour and, you know, the dark hair and blue eyes. But this is the thing. It took on a whole new level in Act 2. Because, yeah, all through Act 1 I'm saying, you know, Luke's so much like Mel Gibson. Act 2 starts, and obviously the appearance of the characters has changed, you know, so obviously they've been there months now, so obviously Act 2, their appearance looks different to Act 1. Act 2, and this is no word of a lie, Luke Ward-Wilkinson looks nigh on identical to how Mel Gibson looks in Beyond Thunderdome. He looks almost the same. All he needed was the blonde streaks in his hair, the permanently dilated pupil in the left eye, and just like the Mad Max 3 costume, and he'd be ready to go. But yeah, basically Act 2, as far as I was concerned, it turned into a Mad Max movie. With Luke as Max. Yeah. So when he walks into Jack's lair and the fight, it's like he's entered the Thunderdome. 2 men enter, 1 man leaves. And it was very good. Like, that's honestly, there was a point at the start of that scene where they go to confront Jack and his gang. They walk into their den. It's a serious scene. I kind of lost it and started chuckling to myself. And it was no insult to what was going on stage, but it was the realisation that this is now a Mad Max movie. And I loved it. Yeah. So what do I think of this production? Act two of the play turns it into a Mad Max movie, and it's fantastic. Even that bit where Luke's character's being hunted, yeah, we've seen Max in that kind of situation before. Max, hey, he'll run away from danger if he has to, because he's not an idiot, you know. We've seen him in very vulnerable positions before, where he's on the run from this gang that's after him. It's a very Mad Max type situation to be in. So, it was honestly, I was just constantly getting Mad Max vibes throughout the second act, and I loved it all the more because of it. So yeah, that pretty much is the way I'd like to leave this. I loved this whole second half. I loved this whole play. But another thing that made me enjoy the second half was Luke's costume in this. He has his shirt open throughout the whole second half, and you know what? I was okay with that. To put it mildly, I was like, okay, if he has his shirt open for the whole of this act, I am going to be very, very happy. Honestly, I was not disappointed. Yeah, thank you, Luke. Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone involved as well for putting on such a marvellous play. It was very, very well done. Sorry, now I'm done gushing. Yeah, this play was, objectively speaking, very, very impressive. Would I recommend it? Absolutely, I would. Was it as good as I thought it was going to be? It was better. It was better. When it turned into a Mad Max movie, yeah, that was a surprise. So yeah, I recommend this movie. If you've been to see it, and hey, this was packed. This was its final performance in Edinburgh. It was packed still, so I think that speaks for how popular it's been, and it's deservedly so. So yeah, if you've been to see it already, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you agree with some of the points that I've made. If you are debating whether to go and see it, I hope this review has helped you. And if you do ultimately decide to go, I hope you enjoy it. It's lovely to see Luke Ward-Wilkinson back. Thank you, Luke, for coming back. And honestly, you're Luke Skywalker in Return of the Jedi at this point. Something's from you finishing that final episode of Beautiful People back at the end of 2009 and showing up again on the scene 6 years later almost. I don't know what's happening. You've been away training with Master Yoda, man, and honestly, you've ironed out just on a whole new level. And it's brilliant to watch. Luke Ward-Wilkinson has not missed a beat. He's as good as he's ever been. He's better than he's ever been. And I hope I just want to see more and more from him. Honestly, this guy is genuine gold dust. He genuinely is something special. But hey, everyone involved just did such a fantastic job, and it was such a joy to watch. So if you go see it, I hope you enjoy it. And thanks for listening to me ramble on. Sorry again for dividing this into two parts. Sorry for just rambling and going off on tangents, but thank you for sticking with me, and I shall see you all next time. Thanks everyone, I'll see you all later.